Have you ever felt that prickling on your neck, that sudden, inexplicable chill that runs down your spine, the unsettling sense that you're not entirely alone, even when your eyes scan the room and you see absolutely nothing there? A feeling of being watched, scrutinized by unseen eyes? Maybe you catch a fleeting flicker in the corner of your eye, a subtle movement that disappears as quickly as it arrives. A vague shape, a distortion of the light, something that vanishes completely the moment you try to focus your attention on it. What if seeing that forbidden thing, witnessing that impossible event, left a permanent mark on you? A brand you can't erase, a constant reminder of what you've seen, not just any mark, a burn searing itself into your flesh, appearing seemingly from nowhere as if conjured into existence, stinging and throbbing with an unnatural heat forming a peculiar spiral pattern on your skin, almost like an eye, forever watching your every move, a constant surveillance. Imagine waking up with it etched onto your skin, the first thing you see each morning, or feeling a sudden sharp pain and seeing it glowing an ominous red on your skin pulsing with an inner light. How does one acquire such a mark? What series of events could possibly lead to this? Simple. See something you definitely shouldn't. Glimpse a secret that was meant to stay buried, hidden from the eyes of the world. Witness an event that defies all logic, something that shatters your understanding of reality. These things, these entities, they don't like to be seen, they thrive in the shadows. And when their veil is pierced, they leave their mark as a consequence, a sign that you're now irrevocably part of their world, bound to them in some unseen way. But who or what is responsible for this? They call it the Watcher, a name whispered in hushed tones. Is it a singular being, a lone entity lurking in the darkness? Or is it many, a collective consciousness? A guardian, watching over us, protecting us from something even darker. Or something far, far worse, a malevolent force with unimaginable power? The mark could be a warning, a sign of impending danger, or a claim of ownership, a branding, a chilling sign that the Watcher has its unblinking eye fixed firmly on you, singling you out. And once it has found you, it will never, ever look away, its gaze an inescapable presence. So steel yourself, prepare for what's to come, because these stories, these chilling tales, they're about those who saw too much, those who witnessed the impossible, and as a result were marked, forever changed by their experience. Will you dare to keep watching, knowing what awaits? Arthur Penwright was, in every sense of the word, an ordinary man. He lived a simple life, devoid of extraordinary events or remarkable achievements. He craved routine, finding solace in the predictable rhythm of his days. Each morning, the same coffee, the same commute, the same walk home. It was a life meticulously constructed around comfort and familiarity. One night, however, that routine was shattered. Pressed for time, he made a fateful decision. He took a shortcut through a dark alley he usually avoided, a place where shadows danced and secrets lingered. The air within the alley was unnaturally cold, a stark contrast to the mild evening he'd left behind. It bit at his skin, raising goosebumps on his arms. The shadows seemed to writhe and twist, taking on shapes that defied logic. They played tricks on his eyes, making him question what was real and what was not. With each step, his footsteps echoed unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence, amplifying the growing sense of unease. Then, that prickling sensation crawled up his spine, the unmistakable feeling of eyes on his back, watching, waiting. He tried to dismiss it as paranoia, the product of an overactive imagination, but the feeling intensified, becoming a tangible weight pressing down on him. A skittering sound, faint but distinct. It sounded like claws scraping against the wet pavement, coming from somewhere just behind him, too close for comfort. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to flee the darkness, but a morbid curiosity, a desperate need to understand, forced him to slowly turn around. In the deepest recesses of the shadows he saw them. Eyes, too many to belong to any one creature. Eyes that glowed with an unnatural, malevolent yellow light. Then a tall, impossibly contorted shape began to unfold from the darkness, a silhouette against the faint moonlight. Arthur froze, his mind reeling, struggling to comprehend the impossible reality before him. Then, primal fear took over, and he bolted for the street, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't stop running, fueled by adrenaline and pure terror. He ran until he reached the relative safety of his apartment building. Safe? He desperately hoped so, clinging to the illusion of security. But as he fumbled for his keys, his hands trembling uncontrollably, a sharp, searing sting flared on his neck, a sudden and inexplicable pain, a burning pain, unlike anything he had ever experienced, new and utterly terrifying in its intensity. He rushed inside, slamming the door shut behind him. He leaned against the closed door, gasping for breath, desperate to escape whatever unholy thing he'd witnessed in that alley. But the mark, a dark and ominous brand, had already found him, etching itself onto his skin. The Watcher, the thing in the alley, had seen him too. It had marked him, and it never forgets a face, never forgets a scent, never forgets a soul it has claimed. Sometimes, seeing is all it takes to invite the darkness in. Sometimes that single terrifying glimpse is enough to irrevocably change everything you thought you knew about the world. Arthur Penwright would never be the same man who walked into that alley. The innocence was gone, replaced by a chilling awareness of the darkness that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. Would you? Would you ever be the same? Arthur slammed his door, breath ragged, heart pounding. The burning on his neck grew worse, he had to see it. In the bathroom mirror he found a raw red spiral burned into his skin. He hadn't touched anything in the alley, but the mark was real. Panic surged. How could this happen? He stumbled out, scanning his apartment for comfort. Then he saw it. A fresh smear of blood on the wall, forming a grotesque pattern. As he stared, the blood resolved into a single, enormous eye, watching him. The alley, the mark, the bleeding wall, it was all connected. He had seen something forbidden. Now something was seeing him. The Watcher's gaze had followed him home, and it wasn't leaving. Arthur was marked body and soul. The nightmare had only begun. Would you dare look away? Meet Sarah Chen. She's not a doctor, not an administrator, but a nurse. A dedicated nurse working tirelessly through the long, quiet hours. And tonight, like many nights, she's at St. Michael's Hospital. A place of healing, a place of hope, but also a place where shadows linger when the sun goes down. Tonight, during her rounds, she had to check room 303. Routine, or so she thought. Room 303, supposed to be empty. No patient assigned, no lingering signs of recent occupancy. Just an empty bed and the sterile scent of disinfectant. The room was dim, the usual symphony of beeps and whirs from the machines. Silent, an unsettling quiet. Everything was off, as it should be, except one cardiac monitor stubbornly glowing green in the darkness. It definitely should have been off. No reason for it to be on, no patient to monitor. As she approached the rogue monitor, the flat line flickered erratically, then vanished completely, the screen going blank for a moment. Then, chillingly, letters began to form on the screen. "I see you." Sarah froze, a wave of dread washing over her, blood running cold in her veins. Alone in the room, or so she thought she was. She scanned the room, her eyes darting from corner to corner. Nothing. Just shadows playing tricks in the dim light. Then, in the dark, glassy reflection of a nearby computer screen, she caught a glimpse of something behind her. A tall, shadowy figure lurking just beyond her perception. She spun around, heart leaping into her throat, but no one was there. Her heart pounded in her chest, fear rising like a tide, threatening to overwhelm her. The chilling message remained on the monitor, mocking her, impossible to explain by any rational means. She left the room, shaken to her core, but the unnerving feeling of being watched, of being hunted, clung to her like a second skin. Later, seeking refuge in the sterile environment of the break room, a strange sensation began to creep across her arm, a burning, itching pain. She hesitantly rolled up her sleeve, her breath catching in her throat, and there it was, a spiral mark, angry and red, as if seared into her skin by some unseen force. She hadn't seen a monster in the traditional sense, just a cryptic message and a fleeting shadow, but it was more than enough to instill a primal fear, a chilling realization. The Watcher, whatever it was, had marked her too, claiming her as part of its terrifying game. Sarah tried to rationalize what happened: stress, fatigue, imagination, but the spiral burn on her arm throbbed, undeniable. She'd witnessed something impossible, a message on a monitor, a figure in a reflection. The hospital's walls held more than sickness and sorrow, they held secrets, and the Watcher. Sarah was now part of a truth she never wanted. The mark was proof. She wasn't alone, the Watcher had seen her, and it never forgets. Some secrets leave scars you can't hide. Leo Maxwell, college student and paranormal vlogger, explored Blackwood Manor alone. He filmed every creak and shadow, hoping for proof of ghosts. Reviewing footage, he froze. A pale, inhuman face with empty eyes stared from the shadows, just for a split second. It looked straight into the camera, straight at him. Dread washed over Leo, the air thickened, his chest burned. He collapsed, camera clattering to the floor. Hours later, friends found him unconscious. On the wall beside him, a fresh, sinister spiral burn. The camera had seen it, So had Leo. The Watcher's mark was there for all to see. Sometimes even a lens is enough. Leo's search for proof had found something real, and it had found him. The Watcher always finds those who look. 3 stories, 3 people, Arthur, Sarah, Leo, ordinary lives forever changed by what they saw, and by what saw them. The Watcher doesn't care who you are, it waits in shadows, reflections, screens. When you witness its secrets, it marks you. The spiral burn is more than a scar, it's a claim. You've glimpsed a truth not meant for human eyes, and now, it knows you. Be careful what you look at, especially when you're alone. That chill, that prickling, don't ignore it. It might be the Watcher, fixing its gaze on you. If you see the mark, you'll know. You'll be one of the marked. Where did you see the mark first? On Arthur's neck? Sarah's arm? Leo's wall? Tell me in the comments if you dare. Because the Watcher might be reading too. And it never looks away.